by welcoming all the activists here. Please just take a seat. Who are here especially for Rajendra. I'm sure all of you have been connected with him, and in fact that is why so many of you are here for our Safe Rail meeting, and I welcome all of you, and I hope you're going to keep coming regularly every Monday when we have our activist group that is meeting. Let this be the beginning of a long relationship with Money Life, not a one-off thing. I would also like to welcome Rajendra's family who is here. Thank you very much for making the time to be here, and his two daughters, his wife, sister, and brother-in-law. Welcome. I don't know how many of you know about Money Life, but just 1 minute to tell you that we've been a foundation that is into advocacy and spreading of financial literacy. We do the Safe Rail group and this Coalition for Safe Rail Travel and the Sameer Zaveri helpline, which is only part of the railways, because I think there is just so much to do over there, and there is a need for a coordinating group. And since we had the place, we thought it would be a good idea to get people together, because I think half the time when we're trying to do anything in India, we fail because we activists don't get together, while all the crooked politicians get together really fast on things, but we don't. So let's hope that we are able to get together and make a difference. So given that, it is really wonderful, Rajendra, that you're here, because I think nobody can give a better perspective of the whole history and romance of the Indian Railways. I think all of us somewhere in life are crazy about the railways. We've had wonderful journeys, and I think here's one man who has covered every aspect, the historical as well as the current. So, we've read Rajendra Aklekar in Mumbai Mirror, in the DNA earlier, and as I keep saying, he knows the good, the bad, the ugly of the railways. But if I had my way, I would have had him talk only about the history. I've been fortunate enough to see this wonderful PPT that he's going to present. Let me just formally introduce him and get out of the way. Rajendra has been a journalist for 20 years. He started his career with the Daily, with the great Rusi Karanjia. And at that time, he ran a weekly column on the history of Bombay's railway stations. In 2002, he formed the Bombay Railway History Group and has been independently involved in documenting and researching the history of the Great Indian Peninsular Railway, CIP, which is today known as Central Railway. He has trained himself in museology to document Bombay's vanishing relics, helped the railways set up heritage galleries, and has worked on several prestigious projects to conserve the city's ancient structures. One of the interesting things that I discovered earlier on is, since he covers the railways on a daily basis, when he sees something, he's the one who's pressuring the government to maintain and store some of them, move some of these relics to museums. He's going to tell you more about these. You've seen his articles these days in the Times of India's Mumbai Mirror. His recent headline-making stories have been, of course, the detonators that are carried in the ladies' first class. I mean, made my blood boil to hear it. I'm sure all of you feel the same. I keep thinking the ladies' first class is the biggest dumping ground for anything. Even when the mentally demented want to go and spoil the seats, it happens in the ladies' first class. And imagine the detonators. Again, we talk about safety. And then, of course, yesterday we had this amazing save, I would say, because that train looked like it's on the verge of a takeoff, but thank goodness it was Sunday. And otherwise, I wonder what kind of injuries and loss of life we would have had. So what Rajendra has promised us today is a whole journey from the romance of the railways and their history right up to safety. So with these few words, may I welcome you again and ask you to take over.
Good evening. First is I'll start with the book, on why this book has been written. We've been traveling every day by trains in Bombay. Lots of interesting things we miss during these journeys. There are, let me come back to this. 7.5 million people travel by trains, but nobody realizes what are interesting things. Nobody has the time to see them, to realize that they're traveling along the country's oldest line. This line from Bombay to Thane was the first line that was laid in India, which means that this is the ground zero of Indian Railways, and they have lots of things which are lying there since 1853, which require protection, or they are like national assets. There are plaques, important plaques which were laid, which are at the stations. Then there are old rails. The technology is gone, but the rails are still there. So what I thought was, if I walk this distance from VT to Thane, we could get interesting perspectives. So what I did was I started walking from VT. This took me around 7 years to complete. I used to go for a particular distance, then stop, then write everything. So at each of the stations, I found quite interesting things. And then I collated them into the book, which is this book about. What I'll do is I'll show you some pictures which are. This is the picture of one of the original construction lines that was coming along the harbour line. This is how the scenario was, and people didn't know what the train was. It was a new thing for India, and there were stories, superstitions that went around. Somebody said that you need to bury people so that the train gets power and they can run. So people started hiding. These are superstitious stories. Then the newspapers of the day debated on what do we call a steam engine in Marathi. So people started calling it Agbod. So they had a interesting lineup of names what the train should be called. The first engine, basically, when it came to Bombay, it was pulled by 200 coolies who had dragged them from Baikala for the first run. So there was a huge crowd to see what this thing is. So we don't have visuals of this because there was no photography at that time, but we can imagine how the crowd must have been. Children, then there were drum beats to see some scary thing moving on this. The first engine ran from Baikala. This was a trial run from Baikala till Thane, and it was named after the governor of Bombay. So let me come back to the 2008 terror attack. When the attack happened, that terrorist Kasab threw grenades and fired from his gun. He was standing at a place which was 200 years a public gallows where people were hanged and rallied and tortured. That place, so he was going to meet his fate. That place was called Phansi Talao, where he was standing. And exactly in the maps you can see, this is the place where he was. This is the place where he was standing, the tank. This one. And this is where the platform 18 stands now. This is the tank where people used to be hanged. And this is the Dargah which is still there. This is another layout of the VT station, and the Fort St. George. So the next point is about, now we'll go to the VT station itself. The station was built it took 10 years to build the station. It cost rupees 16 lakh, and the architect F.W. Stevens, who built the station, was given a bonus of 5,000 rupees for completion of work. And there's a certificate that is still, you can see the certificate in a better way at the museum which is at VT. He was given 5,000 rupees for this. That was a big amount at that time. At VT station, there are interesting things like there's a tunnel under the station which nobody knows about it. They keep cash there. There's a huge cash tunnel where they drop boxes with the help of mechanical pulleys. These boxes come from all stations. They are carted and then they're sent down. And down the cash is stored for a week or so, and then it moves further. Then the old dial clock. It's made of 36 pieces. This is how the dial clock looks from inside. The dial clock is made of 36 pieces. It's maintained by 3 people who, if the clock doesn't work, they have to go to get the spares at the Rajabai Tower, because that's the only clock of that kind. So Rajabai Tower and this clock, they keep on exchanging spares. That makes them functional, both of them. So यहाँ से कुछ है तो वहाँ they take it there, and those are the 2 only type of clocks. The next picture that you see here is of a spiral staircase. This is a unique staircase which is at 4 corners of the VT station, which nobody is aware of. These were fire exits made by Stevens, and today officials have blocked the entrances. They are not aware of the magnitude and the beauty of these four staircases. They are at all the four corners. At VT station, you see a big post box as you exit the station near the BMC side. The one of the staircases opens there. The other one is near the public toilet. The fourth one is on the GPO side and one on this side. So there are four like these wooden staircases which are not properly maintained. This was about BT. Then I moved to the next station. At Masjid Bandar, there are these old relics that we found when the old bridge was being demolished. They had these 1858, and these are now damaged, spoiled, and gone away. They haven't maintained them. Then there's a cannon that was there because there was a native infantry line there. The British government had an official. They used to keep all the weaponry there basically. And eventually the place became a residential area, and the cannon that is there is worshipped like this today. It's a temple. And this is the plaque of the Masjid Bridge. There are three more plaques like this on Curry Road Station, at Karnak Bandar, and at Dadar. So now what we are trying to do is we are trying to get those plaques to the museum at least at VT Station, so it could be saved. Because this one, the only picture remains. Next, as we move to along the Harbour Line to the Dockyard Station, there's an interesting love story that had happened about 200 years ago. There was a lady, there was a wife of a British government official called Daniel Draper, and she had escaped with the Navy guy, putting down a rope. He was waiting in a ship, and she had escaped, and the place where her house was is today Dockyard Station, and this plaque of that old house and memory is still here, and British citizens visit this place as a memory of they have a museum in her name. She was a daughter of a big writer, and she went away with this guy. So the story is immortalized, and they have this plaque there where a pumping station stands today, and nobody's aware of this plaque. In fact, so if you go to Dockyard Station, you'll find this plaque deep inside, just behind the pumping station. The next station, Bhaikala, on the main line. There's a railway hospital, a big hospital, 340 bedded hospital, which was formerly the Elphinstone College. In fact, this is one of the old wagons that is there near Bhaikala. This is the oldest existing one, made in 1920s, which they plan to now send it to the museum. This is the Elphinstone College ka plaque. This plaque is at the base of the Ambedkar Hospital. So this proves that the railway hospital was once a college, and before it moved to become a hospital. This is Bhandup Station. Before that, I'd like to tell you something about Sion. Next to the station, there are three old milestones lying. These milestones belong to the time when the British didn't have a marking system, didn't have a proper marking. So they had put these 16 milestones in the city, and the last one was a Sion station, which is still there. But now the residents there, they didn't know what it was, so they wanted to make it into. They wanted to demolish it basically. So we have saved it, and we kept it in the pumping house. But the ASI nor the authorities, nobody wants to save it from there and take it, because the residents say that we don't know what to do with this. We move on to Bhandup Station. The Bhandup Station basically has an interesting 22-arch bridge under the station. Nobody is aware of this bridge. This bridge doesn't. I had told all the contractors working on the line always, whenever you find something old along this stretch, let me know. So they keep on informing me. So there are three such bridges under the station, which indicate that there was a huge water channel below, and these are made of original stone bricks. So now they are buried. They are no longer visible to anybody. At Vikhroli has a very important role in the Indian independence. It was from the Godrej sidings that about 12 lakh ballot boxes were transported to various parts of the country. Because Godrej had got a contract for the very first elections, 1951 elections. So these sidings play a very important role in the history of India's first election. Let me go to Thane station. This is often said to be the first picture of the first train, but it is not. This is a picture of a Pune bridge, the one on the top. This is today's picture. The original Thane bridge is this is according to the British record. This picture is of a Dapodi. Dapodi is a place near Pune where the Bombay governor used to stay. And so why this picture is shown nowadays? This picture is shown because during the centenary of Indian Railways, 1953, this was the only available picture of the first train. The oldest available picture. So this became the first train ka picture. But this is the original picture which we got from the railway records of the Thane bridge, which is in two parts. Two side stone arches and one metal thing. So we had to clear this because it's going on as the oldest train picture. At Mulund, there's a civic drain that passes below the line. Now this drain was originally a subway built by a British officer called Mr. W.H. Ruxley. His daughter was on the way to the airport and she had missed the flight. So he had petitioned the British and his own people and got a huge subway built under the railway lines. Till 2001, the subway was functional. Autos used to go, but today it's become a civic train officially. There is a plaque there and nobody knows about it. Now they have got it upgraded, so the plaque is also behind cement, so you can't find it now. Thane station, there was no known relic till recently. Last week, 2 weeks ago, we have found a 1899 huge stone which was found during the construction of the building. So we have saved it. It's lying at the station. We'll be getting it to the museum. I don't have its picture right now. Now, this is a picture of the Kolaba station which was once there. We'll see an interesting thing of how we had stations in places like Kolaba, Baladpir. We had an old line from Chembur to Andheri, and now we are trying to develop the same things all over again. Now we are planning a Kolaba station for the metro. We are trying to take the train to Baladpir. So we had all these things early. This is the Kolaba station, how it looked. This is the Baladpir station when it was in function.
Which year?
This is 1940s. 30s के आसपास. So what we are trying to do is we are trying to go back to history by getting all these stations back. So we are trying to take the train to Baladpir now. We are trying to get a train to Kolaba. We had a central Salsette railway which was running between Mahul at Vadavali till Santa Cruz. And now we have the metro going on the same stretch. So how we are going back to history and developing the same old lines that were once existing. The line had to be dismantled for the airport. When they built the airport, they had to take land near Sahar. So if there are lots of old residents in Kurla who still remember that there was a line, there are electric masts and lots of things that are still lying along the line. If you pass the Kalina road, Kalina Kurla stretch, it cost the Thane station, Kurla station, all the 10 lines, and it used to pass there. The tram, it was a 90-year-old service. And they discontinued it in 1964 because it was too slow. So if we had the tram, if we had the upgraded version, we could have had one more mode of transport today. Instead of developing new things like monorail. And this is the aerial view of Baladpir station. And this is the last tram that left Poribandar. We don't have the map of the tram used to run till King Circle on the eastern side and till Jacob Circle on the western side. So it was an entire network of things, and we dismantled the system, sold off the tracks. Because a survey in 1952 found that these are very slow to travel. These are creating hurdles for traffic, and now we are developing we have 15 lakh vehicles and none can move. Had we maintained and upgraded these transport modes, that's what I would say, Mumbai would have been a different city today. We would have been, if they would have been of help or not, that's a debatable thing, but we would have had established systems in place which would have been very helpful. Like 500 vehicles are registered every day, and there is no east-west connectivity. Now we are trying to get metros and monos, but then we had these things, we needed to save them. Secondly, there was, and this is the video of yesterday. I thought the thing in this that the railway guys are saying is the motorman was on the phone, and the train it was a very old train. It was bought from Ghaziabad, so it didn't have the proper braking system. So it was a failure of both the things. Now we have some pictures of the future metro. That's the future, and that's my top. Thank you.
Rajendra, I will take the liberty to ask you first question.
Yeah.
Indian Railways has developed their own anti-collision devices. It is patented by the Indian Railways, and B. Rajaram was very instrumental behind this. So what's happening actually? Why it is not being used?
What happened was it was tried in one zone, after which the report was not positive. That's what the railway guys said. So it was tried out in one zone. It was tried out on 2 trains, I guess, which were running at high speeds. But then the reports were not positive, and they thought that it's not. They had to improvise it. So it went back to the RDSO, and now it's stuck in red tape, basically. So the RDSO is the body which maintains and researches on railway equipment. So it's gone back to RDSO. It's stuck in files, and then the officers changed there. So now the file is stuck that way.
I'm going to ask the second question. You left this presentation on the perfect point with that Churchgate episode. Now, every other day we hear about a fracture of tracks or near save. The other day the trains from Kalyan were late, just earlier last week. Today you had this episode. And there is a whole document which I think Sameer Zaveri has, which is obtained through RTI, which talks about how many dangers there are and how bad it is. So what is your take on how safe is it really? I mean, we had once done a talk with Dinesh Trivedi when he was there for a brief while, and he used to say that I can't sleep at night wondering what will happen. But he was not talking about Bombay, okay? So he was talking all India. So what is your take, A, about Bombay and nationally also?
Bombay, what is happening is we have too much of traffic. It's about 22 hours trains are running day and night. And every new minister comes and tries to add trains. So about 200 trains have to go in and out of Bombay every day. So that is adding to fatigue of the entire infrastructure. That is one thing. They don't have staff to maintain every small inch of track. So whenever something happens, they started taking a mega block, which is a foreign practice. Basically, they shut down one line and do all kinds of maintenance. But that is proving inadequate because they have to, at one point of time, upgrade the West Central Way, for example. It was not upgraded to the latest AC power mode till 2 weeks ago. Now they've done it in a hurry. Now the overhead wire breaks every week because they have left the old wire system, which is compatible to DC and not. So they are doing things in a hurry, in a haphazard manner. So that is the reason of the regular failures. Because the railway guidelines said that we have to have long welded rails. So they have welded the entire track. So it keeps on breaking. So what could be done is, or should be done is, basically Bombay Railway needs a separate corporation. It cannot run on national policies because national demands are different, local needs are different. So we need to have a separate body. We need a person who can take decisions, and we need separate funding because for every small funding we have to go to Delhi to ask for money. So we need a separate corporation, functional corporation, which can look after. We need managers because the managers here are reporting to Delhi, so they have their own demands. It's all messed up thing. So we need an independent railway system for Bombay, which can work well. Namaskar, sir.
In the last 2 years back, the elevated corridor, Western and Central Railway, that question is raised, and it was in common people also very attracted that elevated corridor is going to become. it is the answer for the suburban section elevated corridor, because at present we are so now we are traveling in this local 9 डब्बे का 12 हुआ, 12 का 15 हुआ, अभी 15 होके
That was a mistake. They should
18 हो जाएगा, लेकिन it is not the solution, because we are activists last working 15-20 years, so there is no solution. In budgetary there is no provision. You have to bring the money. That the new present government is trying to, in last budget they had announced 8,50,000 crores. So elevated corridor in Central Railway they cancelled. Because of the cancel, not feasibility or funding problem.
I'll tell you what happened. What happened was the state government didn't want to give land. They said no, we won't give land, because the railways required land to put pillars in the state government premise everywhere, because they wanted to have a line from Churchgate till Virar. So at various locations, the railways wanted land from the state government to put pillars. State government said no. The project got stuck. Nobody came forward. Yesterday, what Suresh Prabhu did and convinced the chief minister was, he scrapped the plan, elevated plan. He decided instead to have an elevated road from Churchgate to Virar, along with a single railway line. So this is a new plan that he's convinced the chief minister just yesterday night. Let's see how it works, because he's saying that that will be the best thing to be done. Instead of, so we don't have, we'll have the right of way, complete right of way. So he got a Maharashtra Road and Railway Development Corporation yesterday, and this is the first project that they're taking up. Now they'll have the cooperation from the state government. So there's one person from the state and the railways. So this is the status of the elevated. So let's see how it works. It's a day-old plan.
Single line is, I have a question.
Can I ask?
There are lots of vertical developments. I see that as it is, Mumbai is overcrowded in terms of people per square meter, on the road, railway, housing, everything. Just more and more.
More and more people,
So I
right?
don't know whether we should add any more further. Whether we could not use it, whatever
But-
the space we have. Space is the real constraint, and FSI is the biggest. Engine. So instead of
Game
that,
challenger, yeah.
why can't we do the basic established technologies like electronic signaling? We still have ancient historical electric signaling.
Yeah.
So that is something.
Something like cab signaling, which is up in abroad.
That is obviously safer and also faster. So
They had
I just don't understand what kind of priorities we have.
They had a plan about 5 years ago to have cab signaling in harbour line trains, but they didn't get money for it. Basically, we have all the advanced plans on paper, but they are stuck somewhere because of funding.
But how can we have the 30,000 crore of metro and not 1,000 crore for
Absolutely, yeah. That is an interesting question.
18,000 crore rupees for coastal road, which will carry only 5 or 10,000 people
Vehicles.
per hour.
So they are not set their priorities right, because basically
Are they all of us?
all of us, the MPs from Bombay do not pressure enough, I think, the railway ministry to release funds. That's how things get stuck.
Good evening. This is Sudhakar Malpe.
Tell me.
Basically, I want this gathering to give Rajendra a big hand
Thank you.
for his presentation. Let us put our hand together. The title said, the romancing with railways. I think, see, there are very, very limited people like Rajendra to write on railways. Binu Nair is one thing, even Manant Mehta, then
Manthan Mehta. Yeah.
Manthan Mehta. So, unfortunately, they are not they are not romancing the railways. They are romancing the railway man. The Mahesh Kumar episode, 10 crore, because you say there is
More
no
than-
money with railways.
There's money for recruitment.
Let me complete. So that's where it is basically. We, my organization, Citizen for Just Society, went to High Court and we got almost 42,000 families relocated with World Bank money.
MUTP funding.
MUTP funding.
Right,
Because
yeah.
that took us, almost 10 years, and we are still fighting. So the point, my take is that,
They have the money, they don't want to
let me
release it.
complete, Rajendra.
Mm-hmm.
Because, see, people like you are rare. Last 2 years back, I wrote a letter you came back with a punching this thing. I am doing big things. I am really working. I am criticizing railway people. See, railway people need whipping. let me be very frank, because they are sleeping. They're not. General manager, he doesn't visit.
They claim to have
let me complete one more. Because see, please be focus on railway what they can do, not what they cannot. Thank you.
They claim to have a macro vision, and then in that macro sense they tend to lose the local needs. Basically, they become too much of macro, and then what is happening? A simple example is indicator the station somebody was discussing. There are too many signages, you can't see the indicator. There's a clock, there's a CCTV, there's an ad, and there's a signage, and the indicator comes behind it. So we had been telling them that you should have a single height indicator, at least to the train, where the train is going, it will be visible. So it's not the small petty things which need to be done. Suddenly one night they put cement and then nobody can walk the other day. Nothing is, they build one bridge which is on the other side, which is not, they are not getting the priorities right. So that's why we need a local corporation where Bombay people can decide what is required for the city.
Can I take you back to the history? Was there any station in between Churchgate and Colaba?
There was a station called Back Bay Station, but it was not between Colaba and Churchgate. It was between Colaba, where it was between Marine Lines and Churchgate. There was a station called Back Bay Station. Cooperage.
How was the connectivity from Churchgate to...
There must be a station, but I haven't read about it anywhere.
Was there any
Excuse me?
between Ballard Pier and Colaba?
No, that was Wellington.
The Wellington Mews. There was a
Wellington
station.
Bridge.
Yeah,
Mews. Okay. I haven't read about it. No.
there was one. In fact, the sleepers were...
Seniors will tell me
The
more.
sleepers were stacked beneath the bridge for about 20 years.
Yeah, this is what
The sleepers were stacked there.
generation will.
And now there is that Tata building. Anyway, a little bit of history. Is it true that there was a railway line with coaches imported from Iran after the First World War, which ran somewhere between Kalina and...
There was.
It was extremely broad and... more broad than the broad gauge. Is it true?
I don't know the gauge, but it was a narrow gauge railway.
No, it was...
It was a very broad. Okay, because the locomotives, there were 3 locomotives on that railway. It was a central salt-set tramway. They went back to England. They removed the tracks for the airport when the airport was being built in 1934.
And there is no... nothing has been...
Nothing. There are some memories in some senior citizens at Chembur who keep on telling me that...
I'm not that senior.
Train yahan se jati thi. No, these are stories told by generations. So... There are people in Chembur who remember the train that used to come at Kurla West, from where it used to go to Kalina side. But
East-West.
East-West thing, yeah.
Actually, I think that is not central sunset. It's Kurla sunset track.
Okay, CST.
Kurla is to be spelled with C.
COOR. But most of the British record says central sunset, yeah. That could be correct, yeah.
One thing I suggest you.
Just one moment.
अकलेकर जी, जो पहली ट्रेन CST से जो थाने तक जो पहली ट्रेन निकली 1856 समथिंग, तो वो जो इंजन है वो कार शेड में पड़ा रहता है, तो नो बडी केयर दैट कि वो अभी कहाँ पर है.
नहीं, बेसिकली
तो हमने एक ऐसा डिमांड किया था कि उसको अगर कहीं भी आप गोडाउन जैसा अगर उसको स्क्रैप में डाल दोगे और जब लगेगा कि ये 150 साल हुआ 200 साल हुआ, फिर बाहर निकल के लेके उसका मरम्मत करो, तेल पॉलिश करो, फिर उसको डिस्प्ले करो. बेटर उसका जो डिस्प्ले है उसका एक मॉन्यूमेंट करके अगर थाने स्टेशन में, बिकॉज CST टू थाने, तो थाने स्टेशन पर इसका म्यूज़ियम इस तरीके से अगर प्रेजेंटेशन हुआ तो एक मुंबई के लिए जो बाहर अन्य प्रांत से जो लोग आते हैं उनके लिए एक अट्रैक्टिंग और एक पहली ट्रेन चली स्टीम ट्रेन, ऐसा वो हो सकता है. तो हम ये मांग कर रहे हैं कि वो ऐसा होना चाहिए. तो आप भी इसमें हमें, क्योंकि हमें ऑलरेडी प्रवासी संघ करके हमने डिमांड किया है.
हुआ क्या कि बेसिकली फर्स्ट इंजन जो था 3 इंजन थे और तीनों मिसिंग है. ये जो इन्होंने लाया था WP क्लास का, वो दिल्ली से लाए थे 2 इंजन. वो अभी भी है, फिल्म शूटिंग के लिए यूज़ करते हैं वो. The first engine, the only one that was remaining, they took it to Delhi for the centenary celebrations in 1953. It never came back. It never came back. It was lost on the way. The original Sindh Sahib Sultan जो 3 locomotives थे उसमें से एक बचा था. They took it to Delhi, but it never came back to Bombay. It got somewhere lost. Like there was a statue of Queen Victoria on the VT building. Today it's not there. Nobody knows where it is. So things have been going missing. That's why we need to be alert. It's a huge empty space today.
To
Rajendra ji,
ये OCS में तो लगाया था वही था क्या विक्टोरिया का?
I just want to add to the history one point which you may wish about the refreshment room, which I think it used to be on the second floor of the VT station.
The main line station.
And a thali in a pure silver chandika thali. The meal used to be served only for 8 anna. I think 75 paisa, whatever, 8 annas
okay.
to 1 rupee. And I'm fortunate to share the family who did that is related to me.
Oh, okay.
And
We still have the thalis there in the museum. They
but
kept the thalis.
that time, and my mother tells me this. We used to serve the food for 75 paisa, 8 annas I think it was for, in 50s, in a silver thali. And if you go to see it, I must have gone almost 20 years back to that refreshment room, but it is palacious, just like the royal.
They've shut it down. Now
And
it's the control room of the railways.
And my mother's family were,
The CCTV monitors are there.
they were her father and his 4 brothers were given 5 stations
Okay. As a contract
as a
for
contract.
food.
Kalyan, Pune, Nasik,
All big stations.
Itarsi, and I'm purposely keeping the last one because a lot of seniors here will know it, Karjat.
Oh,
And that was Diwadkar's.
Diwadkar's, yes.
My mother was the one who started the humble batata vada. She
Oh,
marketed it.
okay.
And
Yeah.
why I'm sharing this with
we
you
have-
is because of the railways, from poor farmers, they became rich businessmen that they could afford
The
a German car in 50s.
oh,
Not only that, they used to run, I think it was, she used to tell me it was Indian Peninsular Railway.
GIP Railway, Great Indian Peninsular Railway.
And they would run trains from Kashmir to Kanyakumari called Diwadkar Specials.
Oh, okay. We should get it for all of us here.
My mother has just expired, but I carry her heart.
It's a great brand name.
And not only that, we are proud that in Maharashtra, besides Darjeeling or West Bengal, we have that small toy train, because again
Yeah.
my mother was instrumental in starting a hotel in Jungle, which is bang opposite Matheran station.
Oh, okay.
And she could then manage to get the governor, because she was in those days you can imagine a lady in Nawari, and she could be an example to all the ladies, feminists. She brought Raja Maharaj Singh because they wanted they wanted water to be taken to Mathera.
To Mathura. Okay.
And for which Raja Maharaj Singh came on Matheran station and sanctioned a water line,
The
which is called
pipeline
as
that
water
goes-
pipe station.
Water pipe station.
There are 2 stations when you go from
Aman Lodge
Neral-
and water pipe,
Neral-
yeah.
No, Aman Lodge is just before Mathera. When you go from Neral to Mathera,
Jummapatti.
there is Jummapatti
Jummapatti.
and water pipe. So the name water pipe came because they
That
asked.
pipeline.
And in future, my other mama, here my mother was involved, my other mama became instrumental in building the road to Matheran.
Oh,
And I'm sorry, they took away the beauty of Matheran.
The story. Of Matheran, there's an interesting point. There were,
Still the train runs.
still the train runs, yeah.
That's the beauty.
There were 4 original locomotives at Matheran.
And I have that photo with me of Matheran station.
Okay.
And I could share a copy with you.
Yeah. He लेके आएंगे. He'll get it.
It's not only the photographs that we have to, but write all these things and give it to you.
Can I have a classic batata vada?
At the next Monday meeting.
I used to travel to Pune from Mumbai hoping to eat Karjat Diwadkar batata.
They had shut down the
That
Deccan
was
Queen dining car,
65 years
which
back.
got restored.
The beauty is they still are known
Yes, yes.
Nasik wale Rewardkar, all the
The small bureaus of Rewardkar.
So the railway changed their fortune.
Yeah, yeah.
This is what I want to bring to
They had shut down the Deccan Queen dining car, which we got restored 2 weeks ago. I had to fight with them like anything to get it restored, but they've got it back in place.
Have you documented what is the price rise of tickets as the railway, the local ticket or the season pass? Is it inflation adjusted, really costlier or cheaper?
If you see now,
since the railway
we are traveling
started?
at about 35 paisa per kilometer. It's the cheapest in the world. Suburban
When
transport.
it started versus now, if you adjust for inflation,
I have a few tables which we could compare.
one
Maybe.
could check.
I have not kept track of these things. That
He is the best person to.
1957, it was the 3 rupees. I keep track between Bombay and Pune fare. From 1956, which my memory could recall thereafter, I kept track of it. It was 3 rupee 50 paisa in 19...
Bombay to
second
Pune.
class, Bombay Pune. So you can imagine that. 3 rupees 50 paisa. No, for a second class, regular mail or express train. Then it was, I remember in 1970, Deccan Queen first class fare was 21 rupees.
Oh,
These are the older memories or very
that is
precise
about 150
memories.
kilometers,
Yeah.
Bombay Pune. Not in Bombay,
It's
basically.
not that way. See, today BST want to reduce this thing fares. Why? It's a misnomer. Please don't publish it that way. It has to be brought. Today, see what Lalu Prasad did. 1 rupee increase for 3 rupees. What is the increase? Just imagine. So likewise,
It is debatable. True.
then he started giving back 1 rupee. When you buy a ticket,
He raised the fare somewhere else. Yeah.
that's why. See, this is a totally misleading statement, and especially our Bombay trains should be run free of cost.
There are countries that run trains free of cost. Public transport has to be free of cost.
Today, what is the
So you just sit on it
see
and.
in last 10 years they have wait a minute. Last 10 years they have killed 30,000 people on the track. Innocent people who have come.
3,500 per month. Yeah.
See, that's
Well,
where
yeah.
where is the soul in railway man?
That is true. Yeah.
So to close this, Rajendra, one of the things that I wanted to ask you, you sort of have studied this so closely, and I think you answered what the question that all of us had, that small amounts of money they pretend they don't have for issues like safety, and large outlays are being made. And I think the point that you made about having a separate corporation for Bombay, I think there are so many activists here in this room,
Yeah. All
all
of them
very,
together,
very
yeah.
strong in their area. What do you suggest we should do for all of us to get together? We have a railway minister from Maharashtra. This is the best chance ever, I think, of getting a separate railway corporation. Can we just close this with a discussion? There are lots of voices here. I think let's hear all of them. I want to hear what you have to say, and the feasibility of getting this done, or how should one go about it? Yeah. So, I want to start with Bhavesh, you, everyone, quickly, so that we end on this note.
Yeah, I am also of the view of the separate corporation should be there, and I think Subhash Gupta, Madhu Kotian, Samir Javeri, we all had decided 2-3 years back that we should demand for this
We should
separate
all come
corporation.
together,
Definitely
form
it
a
would work out.
powerful lobby and approach the minister. We have to give them in writing because verbal.
Okay, I think one thing, yesterday at the CM's office, they took a decision to have a state guy and a central guy.
They have a separate body now.
in the
Maharashtra.
same lines, in a similar line, why not have a Mumbai-specific person from the state government in a similar line, which can be a possibility. Just
It'll be the same guy, transport secretary basically. So
putting the same thing forward.
it can be done, but we have to give them in writing so they can be
See, some
documented somewhere.
6-7 years back, we had prepared one memorandum of amenities and basic amenities in Central and Western Harbour and Trans Harbour. So, near about 70 to 80% all these demands are fulfilled. Now we are trying some transport experts here, they are sitting with us. So some transport expert and activists of railway passengers, we must come together and we must make a plan for the public, for the passengers. Then only
We have
must.
to stop this activist expert. We have to come together,
Yeah.
form a powerful lobby, and then
So then only it is possible.
all of us are experts, all of us are activists.
Yes. Now we
So-
got that one. तो इनके सामने अगर हम नहीं लेके जाएंगे तो ये
Because
बात
we
होना
feel
नहीं।
strongly for it, so we are a part of them.
And मैं मुंबई रेल प्रवासी संघ always with you. Don't worry.
This is absolutely good service, and it is you could not get a better time than this. Especially when you are very happy to spend 15, 20
We are all-
rupees on coastal.
yeah,
So let us understand
that's what-
numbers. They are very serious numbers, and that will not carry more than maybe 1 lakh person or 2 lakh person
2 lakh
per day
people.
maximum.
Very true.
Whereas 75 lakh can become 90 lakhs.
They will wake up, yeah.
Much less expenditure. So we should really understand the numbers.
We are all scattered voices.
No,
We need to come together.
that's what I'm saying. I think we should talk in substance that the money and make a compelling case that it has to be the real stuff for Mumbai.
Yeah,
is
yeah,
the
very
suburban train, whether we like it or not. Not the bloody coastal road for the cars. Not, I'm sorry about it. But please understand that it is really,
Yeah, but those are the feelings, no?
yeah. We have to come together on this relatively common agenda. I think we just have a lot of physical tendencies, but this is something agenda we could be together. That even London also very widely thought that underground is separate, then the tubes are separate, and
They have a nice TFL which integrates all transport modes.
which makes all the same sense. We could have definitely that is no clash. Whereas I noticed one thing, I am a member of core committee of UMTA.
This is
but defunct organization. In the sense, the railways don't
This was
come
planned
there.
on the lines of TFL.
Let me tell you what, the railways don't, not even the junior person of railways attend any of this meeting, they are invited. So I can see something, the distance between Pakistan government at operational level
There is one
and railways is like Hindustan, Pakistan.
positive thing that is
I think, this is a fantastic suggestion by Sucheta ji. If she is heading Citizens for Just Society, will stand with her.
We need to
with
work
all
together,
the legal this thing. But I want to also tell you, see, this is Binu Naya's report, 5,000 crore rupees Bandra land encroachment. How will you handle this one?
it becomes
So that's
not
why,
a problem.
see, this is where the money, because see, there is no estate record at all. And people have made money. One of the person who got the Magsaysay award, he said, "हम पैसा लेता है, हमको railway वाला को हम दे के पैसा लेता है." We have become rich. So today that is the core issue. If we can address that, the corruption, we can really bring down the railway officials into the city. Today, railway minister is there from Bombay. But look at his own car railway station, platform number 1 mein jao. If the motorman is not alert, the railway coaches rolls back.
We'll all have differences, but we have a common agenda at least. So we have to come together.
We stand with you.
No, there's one point I think.
And it's a subject to everybody's, close to everybody's heart, the railways of Bombay.
Okay, Rajendra, let me say that we do have a common agenda when we talk about railways. But I think we completely are on this different track when we talk about the urban transport.
As a whole.
Okay, now I think many people out here should also know some small figures, which is very important in my opinion. Railways carry on those 5 lines about 360,000 persons per hour for during the peak period. That's about, I think, 3.5 to 4 hours, morning and in the evening. The capacity is about 180,000. What we need is a capacity of 180,000 persons per hour additional to what railway is
To the
providing.
existing one, yeah.
And this cannot, in my opinion, be provided by any of the modifications or whatever tweaks we are doing on railways.
It is saturated.
And the metro cannot provide that because metro what has been planned will give you 72,000 persons per hour. So we need to bring in urban transport as a core issue as far as Mumbai is concerned. And Mumbai Metropolitan also comes into picture subsequently. But where we have main problem is in the city of MCGM, Thane, Kalyan and the
MMR region.
Virar,
Yeah.
some of the MMR areas, not fully. So we need to bring in public transport, and so I request many of the railway users associations to look into that aspect and not just concentrate, because lives of people are dependent on the capacity of the carrying capacity of the entire system. And system should include the railways and the roadways also. That's one part. The second part that I wanted to also mention is MRVC is a joint venture between the central government through railways and Maharashtra
State government,
to coordinate this very area that we can think of, but concentrating on railway facilities. And that has not happened because the Western Railway and Central Railway have been having their own little differences because each one of them are in their own fiefdoms.
Yeah.
One is the GIP and other one is BPCI. Now, what we need to have is MBRC has been actually having 2 or 3 seminars last 1 year because 2 of the members of the court committee for making railways accessible to disabled persons happen to be attending these seminars. They are very senior past railway people. They have been saying that the MRVC has been talking the same language of wanting to have a separate division because as it is, Indian Railways has got about 14 divisions all over India.
16 divisions, yeah.
To make another division for Mumbai alone is not such a difficult situation. It requires a political will, and that can happen only now, I think, especially considering that one of the trains has climbed up the Churchgate station.
Yeah, and the minister is from Bombay, so...
I think media can take it up also from this perspective. What transpired in these meetings of MRVC should be publicized from that perspective. I think we must have this separate division of railways for
Basically,
MMR.
everywhere the focus is on creating minutes and uploading them, but there's no implementation anywhere.
No, that's why public
That's what they
opinion is
do
very
everywhere.
important to put pressure. And now Mr. Suresh Prabhu, who is the railway minister,
I think he's going too fast and too...
No, he seems to be little on the surface only because he is the one who was running on integrating, linking Indian rivers. So there also he never used to be present when the discussions would take place. He would just say something and vanish. It's not he alone. This is the unfortunately...
implementation bit of it,
This
yeah.
is the national disease.
Yeah.
That policymakers don't sit in it.
And now the social media, they'll update everything but do nothing on ground.
And one way.
One way, yeah.
I think that most of the activists are from Mumbai. We are talking about environmental region and transport as an isolated issue. But there are too many planning authorities in Mumbai. There is MMRDA,
Yeah.
there is Bombay Port Trust, there is...
We need a single unified body.
See, so planning as saying for Mumbaikar is important whether it is an integrated planning. And if you think only of transport, you will still miss the
boat. Yeah.
Miss the boat, miss the railway, miss the bus, miss everything. You will miss everything because the linkages are important.
True.
And what has happened to Bombay Development Plan will happen to any plan.
Any plan. Very
So
true.
it has to be an integrated plan.
Integrated comprehensive plan.
All the activists are from Mumbai. They should think that there is a linkage with other
Cities,
infrastructure,
other cities.
other infrastructure which is necessary.
The feeder
Don't
routes,
think
the
of
feeder
that.
routes and
When
yeah.
only think of transport capacity, then you will be at a disadvantage.
Well said, yeah.
You know, I just was wondering that since we keep talking about Suresh Prabhu being from here, there's an excellent article written by Ashok Desai recently where he says that every minister has come and set up a new committee. And, you know, super intelligent, intellectual, scientific, inputs have come into it. So Dinesh Trivedi had one, it was ignored. Then you
Kakodkar had.
the Kakodkar committee. Then you had
Debroy.
the Vivek Debroy committee. Now Suresh Prabhu has gone and appointed Vinod Rai. I don't know what accounting he's going to do. And there is, each one has these separate things which are thrown into the air.
Yeah.
But there is no, anyway, this is so vast. I feel we should not get into it. I think the numbers, what Mr. Datta says, that the numbers are very clear. Bombay is making a profit. Bombay needs a separate corporation. It's falling apart. So I think if we just focus, say that there's a minister from Maharashtra, we have a one-point agenda. I think all the activists may have a million differences, but on this one point,
We
all
are
agree.
agreeing, yeah.
Then we should try and find a way to put in inputs to push this case. Will someone take the lead? Mr. Datar, how about you taking the lead?
You are a part of UMTA.
Just to be Sucheta ji, you have to take the lead.
No, I will be part of it, but I'm not a railway or transport expert. So I think we need someone.
Of course.
So anyone taking the lead would be a good idea. I think if someone volunteers, it will be.
It will take place from your office.
We can do that.
So
We
then
will coordinate.
automatically it will happen.
We are good coordinators.
But see, please, as Rajendra said, Suresh Prabhu is yet to come out of Adarsh scam. So we will hold him back We will not expect much from him.
We'll leave the minister out. We'll focus on the agenda. Basically, Bombay Railway
So
Corporation.
now, some closing remarks. You had been bombarded with questions. What is your view on all the things that we've been saying?
My view, we need a separate. Basically, the existing infrastructure is saturated of city Bombay city. We need to do something fast because the population is increasing. New modes have been planned, but they're on paper. They'll need time to come. 11-kilometer line metro is ready, but that is not sufficient. We need more lines and more. So there has to be pressure from citizens and the representatives to get the modes in action, in running. Because there's too much of debate, too much of talk, but nothing visible. Too much of files and too much. We need some action, in fact. Because the crowd in the trains is increasing day by day. You can't get in a train at the other station if you go now. You'll have to wait.
Okay, with this we bring this session to an end. I would like to thank Rajendra Aklekar for sparing the time. Let's give him a big hand for a wonderful presentation. Standing ovation. And may I request my colleague Yogesh Sapkale to present Mr. Aklekar's tiny memento on our behalf.